Hello. I think we are live. We are live.
Awesome.
All right, everybody. If you're watching this on the replay or live, welcome. Um, let's get this party started.
Sure.
Yo.
Seeing the PS3 cover in that intro, it made me feel like
Old?
prehistoric.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, I mean, I don't often say I feel old, but dog, I still don't got my hands on a
oh.
PS5. This is bad,
Mm.
and it's crazy because I want to upgrade my system solely for The Last of Us remastered and Spider-Man remastered. So I want to get a better console to play games I've already played, pretty much.
All right. Fair
But
enough.
you blame me. I don't care how many times I've played this game. The Last of Us is still top tier, and it's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. And the show it made the experience better. It's pretty fun.
And folks, survivors, tourists, welcome to the Last of Us 10th anniversary celebration stream. I'm your host, Ronan Chain. I'm here joined with my friend Busy Braun.
Hello.
How are we feeling, man?
I'm excited, man. When you sent me the message the other day, whatever, saying the 10th year anniversary, I'm like, what? What? And it's
Oh
like
man,
it doesn't feel like it, dude. It really doesn't. I mean, of course, we got The Last of Us 2,
yeah,
and again, that came up quite some like couple years back, which again is pretty crazy.
yeah.
And then we got the show, which was amazing. It was amazing. But I don't know, man. It's just great. 10 years. That's
I
insane.
know.
That's
But
insane.
folks, we welcome you to the Bottles and Bricks podcast on the Run and Unchained channel to talk Last of Us. We're celebrating 10 años of infected, of clickers, of throwing bottles and bricks, playing stealth, and falling in love and forming a family,
Oof.
a founded family with this kid who has significance into this world on a personal and on a macro level. But
I don't know why that was triggering. You saying bottles and bricks, even though we barely got any of that in the show. Like they didn't throw a
okay,
single
well,
damn
first,
bottle. No. We got to dive into that right away,
wait,
man.
wait, 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 wait a minute, wait a minute. So first, folks, just so you know, heads up, um, we are going to be talking spoilers for the Last of Us video game, the first one that came out in 2013, 10 years ago on this day, and
hmm
also spoilers on HBO The Last of Us, the
Yes.
critically acclaimed adaptation of this phenomenal story.
Yeah.
So this is
But
a
we will stay
forewarning.
clear from the second game.
Yes, we're
We
going to
want
do
to
our
dive
best
into
to
that.
stay
Yep.
clear off the second game.
hmm
Those who've played it can hint at what feelings might come,
hmm
but I want us to focus on The Last of Us, Left Behind, the comic American Dreams, and just the first season of this show because
hmm
this was just a meteor when it hit. And so just forewarning for anyone, if you haven't seen this, good luck to you. Endure and survive. I didn't play this game when it came out. I
No.
wasn't really into it. I wasn't into. I was like, oh, that looks cool. When I'm like, I'll get to it eventually and whatnot. So, um, but I knew it
That's
existed. I
that's
saw
similar to
relatives
me.
play it. Yeah,
The
it's
the
similar
the
to
first
you.
time I played it was when it came to PS4. That was when I
Ah,
played
okay,
it for the first
same.
time.
Yeah, I
'Cause,
got the remastered. Yeah,
yeah, the PS4 is when I truly kind of like became a gamer, if you will.
yeah,
Yeah, because it's like with the PS3, I was barely playing video games. All I played was Black Ops 2 and 2K. That was really it. So getting the opportunity to play The Last of Us, which I remember like playing with a bunch of people, and they were all like, "Oh yeah, they're gonna remake it for you know, the game." And at the time when I played it, it was like 2014 or something like that.
yeah.
And
That's when I think when it came out.
everyone was
The
like,
next
"Oh yeah,
year.
you got to play it when when it comes out because they're making a new one. Which again, the new one didn't even come out for like another 6 years, 7 years after that, whatever. But
Yeah.
still, I mean, I hopped on it and it was just the ultimate gaming experience. Considering that I've never really played a story mode like that other than like Call of Duty, which again I love campaign for like most Call of Duty. I enjoy the campaigns, but this was another level. So experiencing this was probably one of my first times playing playing a story mode game, and it was a whole nother level, man.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of the post-apocalyptic films and whatnot, but for some odd reason, and I'm more of it now, but even as a kid or teenager, I wasn't big on zombies. I respect the medium, I
I hear a
respect,
lot of people saying that, yeah.
and but somehow this was more in 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 my realm of what I dug more, where it's like scientific in terms of like it's not the undead coming back.
Hmm.
Um,
And
come
even
so almost
and even with like the show too, which I know we're not diving into yet, but it's like where the game most of the zombie stuff is like us just killing zombies, all that, and even in the show they barely showed that. Like I mean, there wasn't even as much zombies as there was in the game. And I tried to get my uncle to watch it the other day or whatever, and he was telling me, okay, if this is zombies, I probably can't do it because I don't like that. And I'm like, no, 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 give it a shot because it's more about the people, And
yes,
we watched like the first episode, and he seemed to enjoy it. So it's
hook,
like
yeah.
the game. This just does such a good job with like just the world building, the apocalypse, side of things. I mean, the people. I mean, I don't know. It's just so much fun. It's not your
And
typical zombie show, which is great.
that's
You
what
can't
I
advertise it as a zombie show.
but that's what I love about the game and how it transferred into the show. That the game was atmosphere meets characters. It was mood meets the music. It was talking about humanity and also the place that humanity occupied, which is Earth, and how much Earth has been damned when everything was striving for humans, and how much one could argue that Earth was striving more than ever when humanity, shit hit the fan for humanity. And I listen, I don't want us to dive deep of like what happened, what's the story about, but I just want to say that like I just I applaud how much I cared about these characters and how much simple things like Ellie whistling in the background or Joel's few moments when he would like reference something from his past, like oh I like coffee, or I watch football or guitar in my porch. Like it's moments like that that like just I was just like this is why, as fun as the action is, as fun as it is to gameplay and to kill,
There's
like
so many little things, like the comic
infected and
books,
whatnot. Yes,
the
but it's
the
moments
kind of
like
yeah,
this that like
yeah.
this is why I care about the game. And I don't know. And then what's weird is that like I don't know, I told these before, but like prior to the show coming out, Logan was the closest thing we ever got to a Last of Us adaptation that wasn't adaptation, including the
Okay,
A
yeah,
Quiet
no, no,
Place
yeah,
movies. That like
yeah,
there's a lot of
yeah.
similarities, iconography between
No, no,
that.
yeah, and I
But
think that's a big reason why like the fan casting was insane for Hugh Jackman
yeah,
to play Joel Miller. And going into when they announced the cast, of course, everyone was just people were upset. I didn't care. I loved what I've seen with Pedro Pascal. Bella Ramsey, I wasn't too familiar with other than Game of Thrones, but what I did see of her in Game of Thrones, she was phenomenal. Had one of the best monologues in the entire show. But it's like everyone's like, oh, she doesn't have the look. I love Pedro Pascal, but I don't see him as Joel. And it's like as soon as the show came out, we got to see how familiar, they felt, like for people that played the games multiple times, the body language, just the tone of their voices, just they embodied those characters. And it was amazing to see, man. And it was just also amazing to see the trolls just shut up. Like that was a highlight for me. But yo, like I don't know, like being a huge fan of the game and just seeing how similar things were, seeing it trend, into live action where a lot of games try to like change things up. I don't know. It was just they did a really good job with that. And then it's like on top of this being my favorite game, it's my favorite adaptation. Yeah, and you might want to unmute your mic, champ.
Shit. Speaking, God damn it. Speaking of changing things up and being a fan, we have with us a dear, dear friend of mine, of ours, in Joel
Oh yeah.
Alexander, who also loves this world and these characters with it. Joel, thanks for joining us. How you doing, man?
Doing good, doing good. It's fucking hot as fuck outside, so I'm fucking trying to cool off in there. It's perfect timing.
Feliz 10th anniversary, my friend. Feliz 10th anniversary to The Last of Us, to this, you know, for all intents and purposes, for me, is a perfect game. It's the best game ever made, and it's my favorite game of all time.
Hey, listen, the second one, until further notice, is the best video game of all time for me, for sure.
I respect that
All
opinion.
right.
I respect it. I understand it. And just to give you a heads up, Joe, I think what I want us to focus on today is just the first game, the Left Behind DLC, the American Dreams comic book, if we all want, and the first season of the adaptation of HBO show. We can hint at
Interesting.
part two stuff.
We can't talk about part two?
Well, I
We don't
don't
want to
want
dive
to.
into spoilers.
That's the thing
What?
is. Here's the
I
thing.
know.
Here's the thing. We
Come
can.
on, it's the anniversary, bro.
It's the anniversary of the first game, but here's the thing.
Oh, well.
I want us. We can hint at it subtly, but I want that. Doesn't matter if one person sees it. Doesn't matter if everybody in the world sees it. That there's still a lot of us in this planet who are virgins to that game and that story.
Interesting.
And
Weird phrasing, but yep.
it's something Ellie would say, why not? But it's I want people to I'm not gonna say enjoy, but to experience that story and that character on their own time, whether it be the game
Sure.
or when the new seasons come out. Um, but yeah, let me ask you this, Joel. When did you first meet this game and these characters? When did Last of Us first enter your life fully?
Well, fully. I mean, ironically, this would have been shit. When did the sequel come out? Was that 2021? 2020?
2020 sounds right.
2020.
Right
Oh,
as the
shit.
the pandemic started.
Okay, so fully would have just been sometime, I guess, like early 2020, something like that.
Really? Wow.
If we're talking fully, yeah, because
Okay.
I definitely played the game prior, but the thing is, this was like, I don't know, I forget, this was sometime randomly in 2013, 2015, something like that. Didn't even play the whole thing. I just went through like I think just till Sarah's death. I think just to there, just a very light little skip, nothing crazy. But for some reason, that opening always stayed with me, oddly, because so many games just go whoop, and they're like, yeah, that was okay, but yeah, I'm not gonna think about that again. But for some reason, that always stayed, and then I think Sam was freaking out about the sequel, so I was like, all right, let me like go through the first one and then check out whatever's got him going insane about the sequel. And
Yeah, I love that Sam still has his gameplay up for that. You can see his like crazy reaction to everything. Like again, we're not gonna dive into anything, but like, oh man, it's so hard but fun to watch.
Yeah, man, it's a good rewatchability.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I guess oddly for me, to like 2020 for sure.
And one thing I'll kick it off to all of us that out of give me a tricky question. Out of Joe and Ellie, which one do you connect more with, and which? Well, how about this? Can we connect both of them? Which one do you see yourself more in, and which one do you sympathize with the most?
Wait, is this just based just around the first game? Just to clarify.
The first game and the first season of HBO.
I say at the time, I'd say like playing it, I was around the same age as Ellie, so I did love just everything about her character, her attitude, just the anger she had built up, the tough you know mentality she had, and even though she portrayed a tough character, she was also a little badass. So I can't really say she was like just putting on a show because she was a badass at the end of the day. But Joel, of course, just being a broken man at the beginning of it. Just he lost everything. He had nothing, and to slowly see him kind of regain his humanity definitely made him a highlight for me. But Ellie, I feel like, was just a more relatable character. I mean, obviously, I'm not immune, but other than that, it was pretty cool to see that.
What about you, Joel?
That's a tough one. I think it would probably be Joel. I think. Um, I don't know. I feel like I connect more with Joel's sort of. It's just nothing like Joel, Jesus Christ. But I do. I can definitely relate to the coldness of Joel, the sort of like having a hard time trusting people, being standoffish. Used to being like isolated. I can relate to that. He could almost bizarrely come across as like the most violent introvert ever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. I can sort of relate to that in a way. I don't know.
Yeah, I I think what Ashley Johnson and Troy Baker did in the game, both like neck to neck. I just saw myself seeing them, but for some odd reason, it's maybe because I'm older now, and because I am an older brother. That Joel, I connect with Joel on a very very personal level, and and what Troy did with just his choices of subtlety, and when he did open up, it was a big effing deal. It was a big effing deal, and each time I play it, doesn't matter. That's how good the game is. Each time I play it, it moves me to tears. That I'm like, oh, he's talking about coffee and all this stuff and whatnot, and the stuff he does with Tommy, and that just always gets to me. But I have to admit that in the show, what Bella Ramsey did, taking that mantle of Ellie, I just I did not see that coming, and I applauded it because I'm like, I feel so bad for what this kid is going through, and all I want to do is just give her a hug, just give her a hug and tell her that everything's okay. And yeah, the fact that they did that for a whole year, and I can honestly say that I have, wow, yeah, I haven't seen someone honor a past portrayal more like hers. And listen, Pedro Pascal es chingón. Él es el rey del mundo right now. I love what he did with Joel, but I would even think that he would admit that, like, yeah, what Bella did, she just took the baseball and just ran with it. Everybody had to catch up to what they were doing, and what they were going to give to us. And I want to say that besides the two main characters, the co-stars, supporting characters, actors, and these stories in both the show and the game are just as good as the lead. Like, I've always said it, that you can do a 4-issue miniseries on Tommy and what Tommy did, and look at what Jeffrey Pierce did as Uncle Tommy and whatnot. And you could do, well, they did it in the show beautifully, but tell us you know what did Bill did during that whole time, and with Frank and whatnot. And the one that always wanted, and unfortunately we can't do it with her because she's no longer with us. But I always wanted to see what Tessa's life was before meeting Joel, and how much that led to where she was when we meet her in both the show and the game. And a little bit of, well, they teased it in the podcast of the making of for the show, but why she would connect with Ellie. But unfortunately, Annie Wershing's no longer with us. May she rest in peace. But Do you guys have a favorite supporting character and why not? Because for me, it's a big toss up. It's between Tess and Uncle Tommy.
I really like Tommy. I mean, Tommy
Yeah.
was. I mean, I enjoyed him in the game, but I was surprisingly. I really enjoyed him a lot. I think I enjoyed him a lot more in the show.
Really, you
And
like what
that's
Gabriel Luna did? Yeah,
yeah, but I like Gabriel Luna like a lot.
yeah.
Gabriel Luna,
Ghostwriter,
yeah,
man.
yeah. That's like what I knew him as first, but
Yeah,
just seeing him, you know, portray Tommy has it's been amazing. Although we didn't get too much time with him, I'm really looking forward to seeing more of him in the future. And yeah, I mean, I enjoyed with what we saw. I mean, well, what we saw, and there's a lot of different characters that we did get in the show and then in the game, but supporting cast, I don't know. I think Tommy takes the cake for me at least.
beautiful. Joel, what about you?
I think I would go with Tommy as well. I mean, we spend so much more time with Tommy than any other supporting person that could really come to mind. So yeah, I would go with Tommy. It's a shame we can't talk about part two, but like especially part two, like yeah, no, I don't know. Last of Us is so weird. It's almost like only in hindsight or at really bad moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, I really care about this person. You know, it's such a weird storytelling tactic. But yeah, I would go with Tommy for sure.
Yeah, and I oh man, I want to talk about part two, but it's best we don't, just because
I know
for people and whatnot. But yeah, I think that this story, these characters were so lucky that everything, people might have nitpicks and whatnot, but I think from gaming point of view, it did lightning in the bottle. And then for television point of view, live action adaptation, what we got is probably the best case scenario of what we could have got in terms of the adaptation from a video game. And I commend that. And I commend two people when it came to that. Well, no, three. I commend first the writer and creator, Neil Druckmann, who were, the reason why we're talking about this because of what he wrote and what he came up with, those characters. And for just right now in the game sense, also Gustavo Santolaya, El Maestro. That music, those scenes, I told you guys, I could listen to that soundtrack, and I do listen from time to time, and I don't even have to play the game. I don't even have to listen to Troy and Ashley or Bella or Pedro. Just hearing that music, and I can hear them in the truck driving, and they throw, Ellie does the magazine bit and whatnot, or Joel teaching Ellie how to shoot and whatnot. That music just it gets me and whatnot. Is there well, let's start off with Neo and what his writing did. Is there a specific favorite scene of yours in both the game and the show that you really dug the most?
I like the way they portrayed the little fight between Joel and Ellie. At
In episode 1?
no, later on in episode 5, I think it was.
Oh,
It
when they're in
was,
the barn?
right before the barn. It was when she was like, everyone that I start
Cared
to like,
for?
or everyone I care for, ends up dying except for you, or
Yeah,
or
the
leaves
argument,
for you.
yeah.
I don't know. I really did like that. I thought everything about that scene was perfect. I like that a lot.
What about you, Drew?
Favorite like moment from the show,
The show or the game?
show or the game? I think if we're talking about the game, I think the moment where God, what was the name of that dude that she was like hacking the hacking the pieces? I think Ellie had like a machete, but like there's like fire all around her, and she's like hacking that dude up, and then Joel finally comes in out of nowhere.
Oh,
and
David.
Yeah. And he like says that classic line, baby girl.
Yeah,
I think that's my favorite because that was the one moment where I felt like I'm with these characters. I don't know where this is going, but like I finally fully connected. I'm with these niggas. I don't know how there's other installments, but from this point on, like this is where they truly got me, at least.
Yeah.
And from the show, damn, I need to rewatch the show because unfortunately, I feel like the game is vastly better and it's conflicting with my opinions of the show. Like people who've seen the show and who haven't seen the game, they're just like, oh, 9, 10 out of 10. But when you play the game, it's like, before watching the show. But I think it's got to be in episode 3. It's got to be because episode 3 was the only time where I felt like I was genuinely, not only I was caught off, but I emotionally reacted very similar to the games. Yeah. Oddly, even though
long time.
Even though episode 3 is nowhere near in the games.
Dylan Frank, yeah.
So beautiful. Somewhere in episode 3, I think so, because it took me all the way off guard for sure.
Well, speaking of taking off guard, we have our dear fellow survivor, our dear friend, Omni1 Media, joining us. Omni1, how you doing?
Doing good.
Yo.
And it's just Omni, by the way.
Omni.
Yeah, I've always wondered why he says the full name. I've never judged it, but I'm like, all right.
I just
it's okay.
Old habit.
It's very formal. Very formal.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Feliz 10th anniversary, Omni.
Yes,
Feliz anniversary for
when
Survivor.
This came up, I was like, wait, it's been 10 years? You're right. Oh my lord, because I forgot, like, we're only on the 8th release of this game. And a show.
Oh god. Yeah. Yeah, I was in high school when this came out. Jesus.
Oh, dude, this was so long ago. What, 2013, right?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I was married and on my own.
Oh shit.
But okay, so Omni, what we're gonna do is we're just
late.
gonna right now just talk about the first game, the DLC, the Left Behind, the
Just
comic if we
spoil
want.
part 2.
And yeah, we won't spoil part 2. We could vaguely hint at stuff, but I told Jarrell, because I'm biting my tongue to say stuff, but I'm like, that should be something for people to experience on their own, either in the game if they choose to pick it up, or when we get season 2 and 3 down the road. But for where we started in 2013.
So don't talk about when the aliens show up.
Yeah, E.T. came in. It was a crossover. It was a big deal, big scandal. Spielberg fought them with a lawsuit, but he took, he calmed down once he listened to the music and whatnot. He was like, you could put E.T. in there. Why not?
And when they got to the end, and Ellie's immune and all that stuff, but then her chest just
yeah, Ghostbuster. Yeah.
Joel kills the president. Like, it's wild,
Oh,
but I got you.
Yeah. But do you have a favorite character, a favorite side character from the game first, and then the show? And is there a scene that sticks with you the most from either medium?
Oh, so you said just character in general, or just side character?
Character or side character? Is there anyone that you're like, I love what we got from them?
Well, Joel. I think Joel's, like, in the games, my favorite character between both. Just the evolution of his growth, or well, I would say regression and then re-evolution, to be fair.
Yes.
Because it's really about him getting back to who he was before everything went to hell. But outside of that, like, if we want to take in everybody else, I'd have to say, like, Tommy, because Tommy's just a fascinating character to watch. I almost said a part 2 thing.
Yeah.
But like he's like such a great contrast to Joel, and I like that in an odd, weird way. We got both more and less of him in the show in ways that I was expecting.
Yeah.
And we got to spend a little bit more time with him and get a little bit more of what was going on in his head and stuff, and also his own views on Joel, which we kind of touched on in the game a little bit. But
yeah,
I like that they kind of, the way, I don't know, I just think it's the way Gabriel Luna also just brings this, like, soul out of him too. It still somehow sounds like Jeffrey Pierce.
Like Jeffrey Pierce.
I was like, how do you do this, dude?
That was the one
yeah,
thing that like instantly everyone was saying, I was like, he's so good, but Jesus, is that Jeffrey doing the ADR? What the hell? Why not? And Jeffrey was just like, my kids say the same thing, and like, good on him.
Yeah, that dude killed. That dude killed it. Gabriel Luna is his name. He killed it.
Yeah.
He even when I watched the, like the first episode, sort of like with unfinished effects, I was like, Jesus, I don't even know who this guy is. Was he the guy who played? Or no, who's the guy who played? Was it like Ghost Rider on that Agents
That's him.
of Shield?
Yeah,
Oh, that is him.
Robbie Reyes.
Yeah.
I cannot believe.
And he was our last Terminator.
Yeah.
Well. Wow.
Yeah.
Dark Fate.
I would say Genesis, but it's not Genesis. It's
No.
Dark Fate, whatever it's called.
But yeah, he definitely brought soulfulness to the performance that like took me out. And his approach to the voice, I was just like, damn, that truly is bizarrely Tommy. That's so
it works
weird.
out because I didn't know much about him as like a person. Not really. I was aware of him because of the Ghost Rider thing. I remember when he was cast for that. I never watched Agents of Shield, so I never really got to that part. But I do remember when it was like, we've got our Ghost Rider, and like they put out the images and stuff. And then I've seen Dark Fate and all that, and I'm like, dang man, he's like really kind of get into this, but he's like in real life, just like seeing some of his stuff, he's like, he's just kind of Tommy, like with the guitar, with the Texan that he is, and all that.
He dresses,
I was like, holy crap, this is kind of neat. This is no wonder he just kind of walked right into that.
One thing that I discovered while the show was coming out was that he's a big wrestling fan and he's a big Bret Hart fan. I was just like, my dude. I'm like, and then the fact that like how he would talked about it, I'm like, Jesus, I could see Tommy also being a wrestling fan. I could see that coming about and whatnot. So Tommy and Joel specifically, that brotherhood and whatnot, is there a scene? Well, yeah, I want to see if you can give me two scenes. Is there a scene that you like from the game, and what's your favorite scene from the show as well? Because what's cool is that they recreate scenes in the show, but then they alternate them as well, and there's stuff in the show that's not in the game.
So let's go show, and I want to. My mention is going to be the moment with him and Tommy, in the little workbench
bar
with the shoe. No, talk about the shoe, and you really see Joel just bring his wall down to his brother about everything.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay.
I really like that moment. And then game, like one that just is seared into my brain is probably Ellie and David.
Let's go.
Jesus.
Let's go. That was mine.
Yeah.
It's still icky, but I don't know. It's the game. The game, you're feeling it, so like it's a different icky because you're like, oh no, he's gonna grab me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah, is that like a emotional manipulation thing in a way?
Kinda.
Like, because I'll never forget. I'm just like, no, like she has to kill this dude. She has to, and then she's finally like hacking this dude's pieces. I'm like, oh my god, and then Joel shows up, and then you're just like, oh my god.
Here's what's fascinating about that scene. You say emotional manipulation is that in the game she slashes the dude, and I'm like, anybody who's in that position, to defend themselves and stop that person would do the same thing. I would think they wouldn't go, stop. This is not no. But that shook me because again, there was a lot of scenes that I'm like, how are they going to tackle that scene? How are they going to tackle that line? When we got to the show, Ellie goes on for 30 seconds or 45 seconds. In the game, it's just a few seconds, and then thank God Joel comes and gets out of the way. In the show, you stay with her, and you slowly see her humanity be almost broken for the first time. That even that Troy's always said that like that's a watershed moment for Ellie, and that's what broke my heart in the show. That I'm like, Joel, please pull her out. I don't want her to be scarred more than she already is. And she just kept at it, and then she had to walk out just to cool off. And then meet up again, reunite with Joel again in the snow.
Yeah, she got to let it all out. She wasn't stopped midway.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I think it was Busy who said it, that the ranch house scene in the game, I'm not her, that
Mm.
and Joel been like, Ellie, you're treading on mighty thin ice. I'm like, damn, that's a cool line, but this is just a heartbreaking scene. And even as first time playing the game, I was like, wait, they're gonna be together, right? You're not gonna tear them apart right now midway through the game. If not, I'm throwing this fucker out the window. I'm not gonna play the game anymore if they're going their own ways. That what I experienced with that scene, and also hearing the behind the scenes of how it took a while to finally get the take they wanted for the game, and how it took the great Ashley Johnson to improvise a moment where she says, "Everybody I've ever cared for has either died or left me. Everybody fucking except for you," and just shoves Troy Baker a la Joel, and that made the scene. That said it all. That said it all. And I was just like, oh, beautiful. But to me, in the show, and again, I've wanted to see how they recreated stuff, whether it be the giraffe scene, whether it be the ranch house, or Joel and Tommy reuniting. But to me, this scene, it was I did not think they would do us like this, and how like it would get us both emotional from a story point of view and from a meta point of view of how like
Mhm.
for me this is the best
Yeah.
cameo ever put on celluloid or film. This is the best passing of torch I've ever seen. Like it is so it's so crazy how like that's just a perfect prologue to that finale, and what it said a lot. Like something, even actually, telling Marlene her name is Ellie, give her this, and she gives her the pocket knife, and I'm like, God damn it, she's passing the torch to her. And then the cut from the baby crying to Bella Ramsey just standing in the back of the truck, just contemplating what her life's been up until that point.
Yeah.
That's my favorite scene of that season.
I should have thought of that.
No, that's solid.
I completely. I was like, what game? Well, in my head, I was like, what game? What scene? I don't know. I hate you. How dare you?
I'm about to start rewatching season 1 tonight. As soon as we get off, fuck it. You know what I mean?
I can't wait for that Blu-ray to come out. I better have commentary and whatnot.
Damn, when's it coming out?
I believe next month, if my pre-order is still intact. It should be coming out in Blu-ray, DVD, and 4K as well, for anybody who's interested out there. Listen, I gushed about him. I want to hear you guys just thoughts if you want to talk about him. But I always said from the get-go that Gustavo Santaolalla, this man's music, I think it rivals the best music composed of all time in film and on film. I think that what he did for Last of Us is what John Williams did for Star Wars, or Jurassic Park. Name any of his best scores. I think what he did with Last of Us rivals that, because it does the exact same thing in its own unique perspective. What do you guys thoughts about Gustavo Santaolalla, and how I was so happy that they brought him back for the second game and for the show as well, because they could have easily gone with another big time composer. It was like, no, we need him as well.
No, I agree, because I don't feel like The Last of Us feels the same if you were to change the music at all. It'd be like walking in to like Jurassic Park and start hearing like Danny Elfman. It's just no. It's like something don't feel right.
Oh, yeah. Busy, Terrell, what you guys think?
Man, yeah, his music is integral to the emotionality of the whole thing, but it's like some moments it's like I literally cannot imagine them without his music. Like one thing that screams at me is from in the show where Joel and Ellie, they're in the truck, and he says something like, "We're just gonna pull off here for tonight," you know. And like just when those simple guitar plucks come in, come on, like who doesn't get goosebumps from that, you know? And they're like eating was toasted raviolis or whatever in
Yeah,
the middle of the
yeah.
woods. Yeah, it's there's a weird like I don't know. It almost comes across like a Western film noir type vibe. It's very strange. The music that's implemented, it is almost perfect in a way. Perfect.
I can see that.
To me, it feels perfect. Like, the music. So I do understand why you personally have it up there with John Williams and all that. John Williams, for an example, like the Star Wars, the music there. That's just I don't know. I don't see anything really beating that. It's really rough for me. But I totally get your decision on where you put uh specifically The Last of Us, because I mean it was phenomenal, and it
Yeah.
definitely elevated like plenty of moments in the game and in the show.
Yeah, I hope and hopefully everything goes according to well that they're gonna have a concert in LA in a few weeks, and he'll be there present to play some music from the game. And I just hope that in time people discover the music and they can see how people and stories or concepts were just made to be together. Like another good example besides John Williams, I always say is what Ennio Morricone did for spaghetti westerns. I see that connection,
Oh wow.
or Vangelis to Blade Runner. I see that connection with Gustavo to Last of Us. I'm like the material and the madman behind the music, which is meant for each other and just complemented one another wholeheartedly.
Hmm.
Um, what else can we talk about? Because I want to talk about part two, but we shouldn't. We shouldn't. We shouldn't.
We should, but
I'll bring this up right now. That I feel that I, although I don't fall into that range of that world in terms of love and affection, but what the show, the game did for Bill and Frank and for Ellie and Riley, I think is beautiful. I think it's natural, and I feel that I know without having not met too many people in the real world at cons who cosplay like Last of Us and whatnot, but I know how much those relationships mean to one another. I just wanted to shout out Yanni King, I believe, who plays Riley in the game and whatnot. I know Storm Reed plays her in the show as well, and what's his name from Parks and Recreation, Nick Offerman. What he did with Bill and Frank, I think it's just tremendous and whatnot. So I just wanted to just give them a shout out that like well done in that I know although it doesn't hit me on a personal level, I still feel not pity. I feel for them and how their journey went on, and how just oh man, there's so much stuff that they did with those two relationships and whatnot.
Hey, the central theme of the show and the games is love, and love is love.
On both sides,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's what boggled my mind the first time when that episode came out, episode 3, and I had seen it already in a while advanced, but I was just like, this is what the game is about, and people were nagging one out, and I'm like, this is what it is. It's just put into a scenario that a lot of fans were not used to, but was
Hmm.
hinted at in the game and whatnot. So I appreciate what they did with that episode, and how I listen. It's not my favorite episode of the season, but I can understand how people say it's the best. I can understand that argument 1,000% and whatnot. Um, let me ask you. Should I? Yeah. You know what? Huh? Am I opening up a can of worms? Fuck it. I'm gonna do it. Um, Salt Lake City, the hospital. We in both scenarios, the game and the show, Ellie and Joe connect. They finally say we love each other without saying the effing words or giving a hug, which I'm still waiting for that fucking moment. Um, we realized that okay, by the time we've gone on this big epic journey across America, across the USA, Ellie has to sacrifice herself for the greater good in order to make a cure, a vaccine, a la for clickers, the infected to go away, and Joel decides to take stuff into his own hands. I feel that I understand where everybody came from. Where it was like, no, you just damned everybody, the whole planet to itself. You just no, you Ellie didn't want to do that. You took away from Ellie that very thing and whatnot. And I know Joel and I are probably going to be on different sides of it, but I understood Joel's decision. I feel like I would have done that decision. And I can say this as someone who's not a father, who wants to be a father one day, but I completely understood where Joel was coming from. Yes, he did kill a lot of people. Could he have not killed them or not? That's open to debate that we can go on for 10 plus hours if we know. And we've done that before, about what could we have done that? But I feel that, and I've said it before, that Joel, prior to that event, 20 years of existing in this world and how bleak he's become, I think he already knew, I'm not going to heaven. I'm not, if there is an afterlife, and whatever happens at the end, I'm not going to be no saint. But for the remaining time I have left in this world, that I'm going to do good, even if it means me being a bad person or doing something very, very bad. I posed the question: would y'all would have gone with what Joel did, or would you have done an alternative? Because again, as much as people love this game and love the show, that finale, that ending to that game, also pulverized a lot of people and split. Either you were this way or you were that way.
Wait a second, just to clarify, you're asking will we have killed all them people in the hospital?
Would you have taken Ellie out of the way if you were in his shoes?
That's an impossible situation. I don't want to answer that.
Right. That's not the way I thought you were gonna ask that question. Oh,
Let me ask you this: when you first played it, were you mad that this was what you had to do now, or were you with it?
Nah, I was going crazy.
I was like, I'm getting my girl.
Nah, yeah, I was going nuts.
No,
Yeah,
I think in the
tearing it up.
moment,
I was shredding through those motherfuckers. Yeah, that went crazy. I didn't care.
Oh God!
I mean,
I was like, you're gonna let me shoot the doctor? Yes, please.
Like you know how it gives you the option to kill the doctors or the nurses? Yeah, y'all know what I did.
I don't know you.
Yeah, because you could let them live. Like they gave you the option to be a psychopath or like to show some sympathy.
They gave you the option, and also
like the two people on the right, you could have killed the lady, or the dude, and
the nurses.
Yeah, like after you kill one of the nurses,
remember.
The woman crouches, and
right?
she's like,
Yeah,
"You're
this
a
was
monster.
so long ago.
Don't hurt me." And you can choose to kill her, or you can choose to grab the body and walk away.
And in the show, he doesn't do that. He just tells them, "Patch Ellie up." I don't know about y'all. I didn't kill the nurses.
Live.
I don't remember. But knowing me, I probably popped them both.
Yeah, I know.
Video games are therapeutic. I'm not gonna get shamed for my decisions.
But at least, okay. So I forgot about them. I thought you meant like when the doctor had his hands up, and I was like, I remember sitting there forever and nothing happened. I was like,
no. If you wait too
have
long,
to
I'm
shoot him.
pretty sure you die. Yeah, but like not. I'm not talking about the main doctor. I'm talking
right.
about
Okay.
the two assistants on the right.
Yeah.
I think I was just like, well, that's already one. Might as well finish the room.
Nah, yeah. That's exactly my mentality.
I don't like leaving things half done.
That's my mentality. Yeah, you gotta finish the job, man. No loose ends.
Like was it the double tap from Zombieland?
Hey, the more people
yeah. Bro, I made that reference today in one of my reactions too, bro. That's fucking hilarious. That's great.
Hey, the more people you leave alive, the more people are gonna come find you later.
Exactly.
You gotta limit the revengeance quests.
And listen,
you see that.
Listen, there's. Oh, I don't want to get to part 2. Listen, there's listen in both the game and the show, the doctor doesn't say, "What are you doing?" He immediately goes for the scalpel and like points it at Joel, saying, "You're not gonna take her." He immediately doesn't try to negotiate. He doesn't try to call him down on her. He's like, "I've made my choice and stance. You're not getting between us and salvation of humanity." So
that poor bastard didn't even get a lick in though. Like I thought he was actually gonna put up a fight, but Joel just took this.
Why do you bring a knife to a gunfight? You don't do that.
Well, so then again, I don't think he was planning on it to be a fight or die.
Yeah, I think you're sort of asking an impossible question because like Joel is this like astoundingly violent, um, almost like bipolar dude. Like I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if like right afterwards my man just like ate a sandwich and just took a big nice long nap or something. I mean, like he's like pretty much a huge sociopath.
I I
Man,
I know I've made the argument, and I people could debate it, and people might be right, I might be wrong, but I do feel that like when Joel asked in the game and the show, just let me see her, and if the Fireflies either let him talk to Ellie or let him leave with Ellie, none of that violence would have happened and whatnot. And I feel that again, it's a predicament, and it's I guess it is an impossible question. It's something that people will probably be arguing till the end of times. But it's like they swing one way and whatnot, and what Marlene does, and also again, shout out to Merle Dandridge who played Marlene. That's such a great job. I shockingly in the show, I understand her and sympathize a little bit more with Marlene in the show than I did in the
Mhm.
game. Somehow that flashback and the distance that she set up between her and Ellie in the opening episode of the show, that it made it more. I could see why she would leave Ellie and not raise her on her own, and how much in the show and in the game it's killing her decision, but she already made the choice that like for the greater good. And yeah, even when because we say like if he let anyone live, they would have come after her. Joel decides to take out Marlene because he knows she would come after Ellie, and it's just like no, I'm avoiding that and whatnot. Um, I I understood where she was coming from, but I'm like, no, you picked the wrong guy to protect this kid and bring her to you. And I would argue to the end of times that Anna would have sided with Joel. That and again, I said
Oh
it
yeah.
in the finale of the season that like I think Anna, without knowing, put this child out there into the world and found someone else who would love her just as much as she did and would understand where Anna was coming from. I think.
yeah, I think what the hospital scene. I mean, is there not a lot of Joel being like a fucking psychopath? I mean, I get like when like when you're in the like playing a game, you're kind of positioned in a way where you're just like, oh yeah, ah. But especially like in hindsight, and especially when we get to the end credits, it's like, whoa, dog. Like, if this were like literal reality, and I'm sort of walking the same steps, it's just hard. I feel like there'd be such a distance between me and Joel because I just don't know. I just don't know if I would act so coldly, so similarly violent. If that makes sense. I don't
it's
know.
it's the Wolverine syndrome when he goes berserk, and he've always said it that like Wolverine always said it. I'm the best there is at what I do, but what I do isn't very nice. And I think I would line up more with you, Jorel, if again, like you said, Joel might have eaten a sandwich after he got out of the hospital. But in both occasions, once they are on the road and away from distant from all that chaos, Joel isn't okay with what he did himself. He knows he's like he nods or in the cutscene that he knows he did a bad thing.
Does he?
Yes, most hardly. He
Yeah.
he nods himself. He knows that like he knows that Ellie will be crushed by this. He knows that he just damned the whole world, but that she, even if she hates him for the rest of his life, she will get a second chance at a life than most people would do. And what I love what the show did and what the game does is that at points you question that is the world worth saving now at this point. How low have we gotten? Is nature right to take the whole planet back?
Sure. I do question the extent of like how. I'm not sure how to say this. Like, I question how much. This is called restless nights for Joel. Like, I question how much he really. It really doesn't even seem like he was thinking. I don't know. I do question, like, it just really feels like very cold and militant. Like, it just literally felt like he was just like, nope, whoop, brrr. And then he just tried to just compartmentalize, just shove it to the back of your mind, and yeah, we're good and squirrely. That's kind of how I picture he took it. I have a hard time with him wrestling over what he did, or like sighing in a corner and be like, "Oh man, Joel, get it together." I don't know. I feel like he took a very cold route to what happened. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I feel like in these types of situations, you're always going to be like that against people who aren't your tribe and are trying to invade your tribe.
And what's weird is that, like, Jarrell, you had pointed it out that there's a scene when he's torturing the dude in David's section, the winter section, where this is a shot where you see Pedro smiling and slightly like a smirk. Mm-hmm. And I understood where you were coming from with that. I understood it. I just felt that smirk signified that, like, Joel knew that he was in control, that he was like, I had the upper hand, and there's nobody getting away like from this. Like I have all these fools in checkmate.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's the way I took it.
Sure. There seems to be, I don't know, I feel like there's a bit of irresponsibleness to Joel and violence. Like when he's at the end, when, like, Ellie's like, are you telling me the truth? And he just, like, straight, just without skipping a beat, like, oh yeah, of course, like, everything's exactly how I said it is, and don't even think twice about it. I was like, let's ride into town. I don't know. There's a bit of irresponsibleness to his response to.
I don't find it. I wouldn't say it's irresponsible. I think he's the only one that will admit what they're doing. Tommy will dance around and try to add some color to it. And maybe that's a little more human, but he's just being upfront about the reality of the world they live in. I mean, that wasn't Joel before all of this, and it's not Joel after this either. So I don't know. We're seeing Joel in a situation where this is just how the world demands he be, and he's just not really fighting it. Tommy's trying to get away from that, but it is what it is. And now we have Doppel Ronin.
Oh, right. Whoa there.
One's upset, and one's ready to go.
I don't know. It's just when I hit the end credits of the game, there is a profound sense of, like, it's like, I'm with you, Joe, but it's like, bro, there's a heavy wrongness that feels very, like Neil was very hoping I felt this way, because I've listened to Neil talk about, like, Joel's final actions, and I don't want to say that they're damning, but you can tell that Neil positioned Joel in a way where it's like, yeah, you're not supposed to feel like you're watching a Rambo movie. You're supposed to walk away feeling conflicted,
See, and that's why I think he understands what he does, because if he didn't, he wouldn't have lied. I don't think.
I can't believe that,
because he was upfront about the other stuff.
Yes.
Man, I can't believe that he lied. To me, that's such a flaw for me. I'm so sorry, Joel. I love you to the end, but I'm not with that. Like, that, it still, like, kind of makes me angry. It's like, Joe, really, dog? Like, really, to her? You're gonna lie to her? Especially like that? Jesus, bro.
Listen, that's one that I'm like, I understand. I don't know how I can argue that right now at this moment, but I'm like, I understand that sentiment of, like, that's the lying was the one thing. The killing, that's, we're used to that in the world, and although very overkill, no pun intended, the lying was the one that a lot of people up in arms who were either new to the show or in the game, or like, that's the thing that broke the camel's back, was the lying. But speaking of,
I do think he should have told her.
100%, 1000%.
It's the one thing I know why he did it.
Yeah.
But it's the one thing that really doesn't sit well with me about the whole finale bit.
Yeah.
Is that little bit. I was like, come on.
Speaking of come on, Jedi Mike has entered to the building, folks. Jedi Mike, ¿cómo estás, hermano?
What up?
What's up? Look at him, what he's stepping on. Look at that.
Sorry, I was sorry. I was tending to my fiance and planning a wedding next month. So
Hey.
right, and right before we leave for Comic-Con. So yeah, that's guess what? Our wedding gift. I'm going to Comic-Con. She going to Beyonce concert. So hey, it's all just
Win-win.
I
Yeah.
love how I'm gonna be the only one who's not married. I'm the only single guy.
Out of the
joining that group. Oh
How
god,
you guys doing?
we're good, man.
Doing
Feliz 10th anniversary on The Last of Us. Share with the good folks who will watch this. How did you connect with this story and these great characters?
Well, for one, and that's being whether film critics or just reviewers in general, we like to see things more from a different perspective, any type of art medium, whatever, right? Whether it might be music, shows, film, gaming, whatever, right? But when the original game came out, it took something into a way that it evolved in terms of the gaming industry to a whole new level in terms of storytelling, right? And even then, now that to a more timeless story, that now even look at we are currently today, what we experienced about 3 years ago, that story has become more personal to where we can't accept, we all relate to it in some form or fashion, of terms of the story of The Last of Us, right? And what I felt in terms now, what we've seen over the years, more of the culture kind of evolving, in terms of actually being more aware of it. My fiance, I showed her, I haven't, she's not really a gamer or anything like that. I showed her the show for the first time, and then she got really, really addicted to it, right? And she doesn't even know the whole full story. And I'm like, listen, this is the whole thing in the game. I spent several days and hours onto this, so fully immersed with the story and everything. So even to a point now when it's being told into a out of a video game form and everything, it makes it even more real because they even are expanding upon it, even diving more into certain characters that you've known for so many years, and you think they couldn't get any deeper, but they did. And as I was was it a child, probably middle school when I came out. Now I'm a grown man now and stuff, and soon eventually I'll have children. That's listen, how that how is now me as a person now evolving as an adult, where I'm like, listen, look what Ellie has gone through even in the first two games and everything like that. So it's just we're going through life experiences, we're going to be experiencing losses, hardship, trauma, and how do we and we're going to experience that differently. And I love with this with The Last of Us that both of these characters, among them, many others, that they're handling their trauma in many different ways.
I don't know how I could say that better. It does hit hard now, post what we've gone through as a planet with the pandemic. I can't believe you said middle school because that just aged me the fuck up like that. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh
what year?
God.
What year came out the first one?
2013, 10 years ago.
2013. Yeah, I was 15.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, I'm 25. About to be 25. So.
Oh my
Jesus.
God.
Making me feel old, bro. Stop.
Man, you want to talk
I'm just
about
not even
old?
gonna say
You guys
anything.
remember gargoyles? Or how about
Yeah.
Oh Jesus.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Sorry, I'm not talking some youngins. Okay.
I was 20.
Right.
I was 20 when the game came out.
I think I was. I played it when the PS4 version
the remastered
came out. Yeah, so
me math bad.
in 2014.
25.
So I was about. I think I was about 14 when the
What?
when I played it for the first time. In 2014.
Oh, so you
yeah.
okay?
Jesus
so
Christ.
All right, cool. All right.
Yeah.
My
So
God.
I played it when it released in 2014, July, like on
Yeah,
PlayStation
right,
4.
right.
Yeah.
I played it back on the Atari.
Oh yeah.
I
was 14.
The Phantom Menace pod racing game on the GameCube. I remember
Oh
that.
God.
Oh,
Yeah,
let's go. Let's
listen,
go.
You couldn't touch me. You
Let's
would
go.
eat dust. I'll tell you.
Toscano, man.
Jedi Mike, and then I'll also put out this with you guys. Let's this. I want to give Mike the opportunity as well. Is there one character, either main or co-starring side character, that you attach to the most in the game or in the show the most? And also, what's a scene from either the game or the show that sticks with you the most?
It was the scene with Henry.
God damn it!
And this is my thing, like especially
Yeah.
us as like black men in terms of
Yeah.
like with mental health. And
Yeah.
now as I when I originally was playing the game, I didn't experience any of the hardships I experienced like years ago. Now so like now that I've like gone through my mental health journey and everything like that, is that I can understand feel the shock or the not knowing what to do, what's going on, and the contemplating either ending his life or not, or was it even to the point of like, listen, I can't live without this person, and I don't know how, like, what's the next step. So you just kind of like you're almost paralyzed in the moment, right? And seeing it and into a live action format, right, made it even more personal to me again, because I felt the acting of these guys were just phenomenal. Shout out to them, they're from Baltimore, Maryland. But yeah, it just, to me, I just felt with that, felt really heart wrenching, because you felt so like almost like saving grace. It's like, listen, there gotta be hope in humanity even in these dark times, right? When every time we want to turn a corner, and instead of being selfish, we want to be selfless, right? Without knowing the consequences of that. But in this world, is that in order to survive, you have to be selfish, and then even then go against your own morals that you say I can't compromise with. You're going to compromise them, or you're gonna be pushed to that limit. So, yeah, that to me, I felt that was really the story I kind of attached to.
Yeah.
They can really channel that Beltway pain into their characters, having being in Baltimore and having to deal with that. I don't even know how you survive half the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember playing that, and like again, Tommy and Joel, that's a brotherhood that I understand, and I understand also with Sam and Henry, but I was like,
Dude, knowing
fuck,
that was
man.
knowing that was coming too, it's just
Yes.
still like, I was like, I played this. This is exactly how this is going, and I'm just like, oh no.
But then they twist the knife into our hearts even more
Yeah.
with the talk between Ellie and Sam with like, "Are you
Yeah.
afraid?" or "Stay away with me." And I was just like, "You fuckers!" Like, "Fuck you!" And I,
It's harsh.
I
Yeah.
literally I remember Sam talking to Sam and Ty, and I know how much that really affected them a lot, how much it affected all of us, and yeah, I I will never forget just seeing everybody's reaction to reviews, and people were like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And we have to wait a week for like more of this stuff, and and I have to tell people, I'm like, "This is sad. It's gonna get sadder." Like,
Yeah, my fiance, she hates cliffhangers. She hates like I don't even tell her like, wait, like well, we can talk about it, right?
well, wait, don't talk about part 2.
No, not in part 2. Well,
Okay,
it's part of it when she's like, well, one character, when you think this person's like died in one episode, and it's like, I can't believe he died. I was like, and I couldn't say nothing, and whatever, he came back. But I'm like, you haven't seen the story. But anyway, but yeah, it's just I just like seeing people's first reactions to it,
Yeah.
and watching it without no sense of bias to it, because because we know what to expect, which then that kind of subvert our expectation about how it's going to be delivered to us, right? But then watching somebody who haven't experienced it at all, it kind of almost, you're reliving that experience, you watching it or for the first time.
yeah. I feel I'm kind of proud with the community of fans who knew what was gonna happen, and I'm pretty sure none of us did this, but like I'm confident that like we did our damn good job of not spoiling stuff of what was gonna happen, and how we didn't even want to like, and Sam had to hold me back because I was just an emotional wreck after each episode, that I had to be like, this is just, we're on week 4 of a 9-week stretch, and this ain't nothing yet. Like there's all sunshines. Like I told folks, like episode 3 is the most hopeful, happiest episode of all of it. Everything else is fucking worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's
I mean,
true.
I will say the shit, was that episode 7? Whichever episode,
8,
the Ellie and Riley episode. There's definitely, for me,
Yes.
as for the ending, but there's a huge sense of elation and euphoria every time I watched that episode for sure.
Yes.
It's like the closest to happy that we're like bound to get with this.
Was that a pun?
Story.
Euphoria, because she's.
Oh
Euphoria?
yeah! Oh yeah! I totally forgot.
That's the sister.
Totally forgot. Yeah, it's funny. It's such an emotionally painful fucking. It's so weird that like I love these characters so much. I love the story so much. You know, Part 2 is my favorite video game, but it's such an emotionally painful story. It's like shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's what's weird is that like I think for me the first game has more replay value than the second one. That's just my opinion. But once the rest of the world understands what I'm saying, I think they'll get why I don't go back to part 2 as often as I do with part 1. And what I like is that once in a while I need stories like these to remind myself of what it means to be human. It's stories like these, it's stories like Blade Runner or Arrival or any other grounded, pure human tale across mediums that just like you need this once in a while to get in touch with the fantasy and the sci-fi
So I should see one of those, right? Then
what do you mean?
Any of the movies you just listed?
No, you haven't seen it.
God,
Oh,
I haven't seen any of them, man.
you are in for a treat when it comes to
Whoa!
those.
Wait.
Oh,
What?
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow,
I didn't
okay.
see a single thing he just listed off. I was like,
Whoa.
yeah, just nod my head,
I'm looking
smile.
forward to the
Wait.
reaction.
List off real quick everything you just listed off.
It was
Just
it
let
was
me
Blade Runner.
What? Omni.
It was
Yeah.
Arrival.
Omni.
Oh, I
Shit.
heard Rival. I have seen that.
Oh,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
As of
really
like
take the
3 months
score.
ago.
They took
Yeah.
the score and
Jesus.
put it in episode 3. And it was like,
Yes,
immediately when that hit, tears.
the music, for Bill and
Yeah,
Frank
yeah,
is
yeah.
right out of
Okay.
That's
Arrival,
that's one of the perfect scores I heard in the last few years, man.
Mhm.
Like seriously,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
beautiful
I saw
folks.
one of them.
Okay.
Omni, you haven't seen Blade Runner?
I've seen the ending monologue, but not the
What?
movie.
But
Oh,
look, listen, that was a glimpse of the future. Like the orange skies and everything spoke. Look, you have
No,
to-
that's real.
2049,
man.
please goes. Yeah.
Seriously.
And that's because of my film professor showed it to everybody, just the monologue. So that's the only bit of the movie I've seen was
Wow,
the that villain monologue at the end.
Oh, wow.
You know, you're in for a treat.
I don't remember it,
Yeah.
but
Wow. That's
It's one of the
amazing.
best lines in the history of cinema, and yeah, you are in for a treat for Blade Runner.
yeah, I really want
Watch-
to watch it in 2049.
Oh my god, dude! That's it.
Oh, I didn't see the first one.
Oh my
Why
god!
would I watch the other one?
I understand, but like we're talking. So just a disclaimer: the Matrix, 1999 is my favorite movie of all time. This has been unchanged since I saw the movie literally in theaters in 1999. The closest that a movie has ever gotten to defeating that, I think, is The Lighthouse, Inception, and
Seen those.
and Blade Runner 2049. Those were the only films where I almost said, oh, but no, Matrix still number one. But yeah, no, those came close.
I got the
man.
poster on my wall.
Oh shit,
Yeah.
dude! Oh
See,
shit, nice.
See, I'm more ghetto like that. I live off of the DVDs, like Matrix, because like me and my dad, that's our bonding franchise, right? But
Hell
I never,
yeah.
as a kid,
That's how I
never
came in
went
on
either.
it.
But I just went on DVDs and stuff like that on the set on the tapes and stuff like that. He will flip me up on the wall and try to walk on them and everything like that.
I think
So,
when I got the first Matrix, it was on VHS. I never saw it in theaters.
wow.
And it has like a dual pack at
the
Walmart.
dual
where
pack,
it
and that,
had,
yeah,
like-
that's it.
and it had
There
like
you
the
go.
T-shirt crammed in there.
Oh,
Yeah,
jeez. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Is that a District 9 poster in the back?
No.
Oh
Which
wait,
one are you
wait.
looking at?
That's X-Files, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's X-Files. Oh yeah, hell yeah, boy.
They're
Nice.
both UFOs.
It's my
The
favorite
posters.
show of all time.
Oh wow, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, I've seen Omni's like posts on Twitter of all like conventions with all the the
Yeah.
stars from the show. I'm like,
Wow.
it feels like X-Files.
Yeah, I
Good.
definitely have not. Like, I've just very randomly seen footage from the X Files. And there
Mhm.
was it, like 11 seasons or something insane for X
It's
Files?
11 seasons, 2 movies.
Jesus Christ, 2 movies, Lord. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, yeah, I have not technically, I guess, watched X Files, but I need to check it out. I'm going through Twin Peaks right now, so might as well throw it on.
There's some spiritual crossover there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now the question is the most recent season of X Files, is that part of the 11 seasons, or is that its own thing when they came back to do
question.
You mean like, is it canonical or anything? Is
Yeah.
that what you're saying?
it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I wish it wasn't, but it is. I'm not a fan of the 2 revival seasons.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I remember I missed work to watch that first pilot, and we had just
Mhm.
seen the first season, and I looked at my sleep, I was like, I
I was like,
don't know about this.
the standalone episodes are great, but the way they tried to continue the main story was stupid.
Wow, this is funny that you're saying this because I was just saying that the Discord. I was like, unfortunately, I've seen footage, but unfortunately, I have not watched all of Sopranos. I have not watched all of X Files. But I was like, if I had to make an educated guess, I'm probably gonna enjoy Sopranos more. So this is interesting.
Yeah,
Now, if you watch the main show, that could be questionable.
Yeah, I've seen parts of Sopranos, and I saw the Many Saints of New York. I have that like catalog into stuff I have to catch up in terms of television and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of those shows I need to find some time for eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
The commitment.
I wasn't when it was big. I just wasn't into that type of show, and I'm kind of matured a little bit in my tastes.
I know HBO was banned in my household channel until I would once in a while see my dad log in on HBO and just watch that or The Wire. When I'm like, all right, I don't have to wait another decade to actually be able to watch this on my own. Whatever. Going back to The Last of Us, and I love that transition of pop culture, because something that it's a cool, unique thing that they do both in game and show was how Ellie's infinity to pop culture, whether it be the music or the comic books or stuff they hint at in part 2 that I won't spoil for people.
The video games, Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, man. Well, what's her Milena, whatever her favorite character was? Yeah. If you, this is a cool question for anyone, whatnot, and we kind of lived through it with the pandemic. But if you were in that world, is there a comic book or a video game or a movie that you would be like, oh, I'd like to revisit that again for the first time, or I would want to read that again for the first time?
Oh,
You said comic or game?
Comic or game or movie, because it touched base on all 3 of those things in the show and in the game.
Give you one of each.
Yeah, one of each. That'd probably be cool.
Jurassic Park, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and Kingdom Hearts.
Nice. Well
Bro,
done, Sam.
I can quote every freaking line in Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
let's go.
Yes,
Let's
listen.
go.
Why was a vegan? It's milk and eggs, bitch.
Yeah.
Yes, right?
You just drink half and half.
Wonderful.
No vegan diet, no vegan powers. Yes. See, I partake. I know breast milk or the odor of any creature with a face.
Excellent list, Omni. Busy,
Speaking of-
Drill, Jenna, what do you guys have a choice?
I don't know.
So my oldest childhood memory, one of them, was going to theater to see the original Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
Sam Raimi, right?
Yeah.
I watched that film in different points of my life, and all areas of it was relatable, right? And I think as a kid seeing the theater, like it was like again, Yeah, that was probably the moment that I felt like pure like joy. Um, Comic, I'm gonna say. Well, okay. Well, I was really heavy on it. Me and my friend Josh, like we would go through different like sagas and mess. Like we went through old school of like Days of Future Past when we were like freaking 12. So like we were very into that. But I think one sole one I have would probably be Amazing Spider-Man, Amazing Fantasy #1. With that
Nice.
one.
Yeah, and just can you clarify the question one more time, just to make sure.
So if you could choose one video game, one
Uh-huh.
comic, and one movie to like, if you were stuck in the outbreak world of The Last of Us, what would be
shit?
3 of those mediums?
Okay.
A title that you'd love to revisit for the first time again. Like for example, here I
Shit.
already have a choice for game,
Okay.
comic, and medium. In terms of a movie, for the first time again, if I was in the outbreak world of The Last of Us, I would love to watch Raiders of the Lost Ark for the first time again. I would
Ooh,
love to experience that for the first time
Ooh.
again.
that's a good one.
In terms
Okay.
of comic, that's tough because right now I'm deep hardcore into like reading old school Howard the Duck or like the sensational She-Hulk, but to keep in mind with Ellie's vicious spirit with Mortal Kombat, I think of a comic book I would read Invincible.
Ooh, okay. You know
that was
what?
gonna be mine. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna say for comics, I would take like
Yeah.
Invincible Compendium 2.
And,
And
game,
then,
I think instead of MK, it would be Killer Instinct for me.
Yeah. And then I think for movie it would be Kick Ass because I can rewatch that
Nice.
like a whole shit ton of times. And then for TV shows, I'd say
Shit.
Family Guy because I can also
Family
watch
Guy?
that like 1,000 times without getting tired of it.
I take my comic back. I put Watchmen.
Ooh.
HBO's Watchmen.
All right. All right.
Wow. Okay.
That's a good
And-
Watchman.
Shit. I think game, man. Okay, so comic, I think I would go with first off, shout out to DC, love DC. Big DC head. So I would go with Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Nice.
Just like one of my favorite things ever. Game. Shit. Fuck. It would literally so fucking random. It would have to be like Sega Genesis, like Battletoads, or fuck. What was the other one that was just on my mind? Oh yeah, fucking. What's the second one? I think it's Golden Axe 2. I think it was on Sega Genesis.
Nice.
Definitely
Right
one
on.
of those. Cause fuck yeah. And then in the movie, I was gonna say 28 Days Later, but I'm gonna go with
That might be a little too
that might-
topical.
yeah, that might be a little. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna go with the first thing that comes to mind. I'm gonna go with Wizard of Oz. Yeah,
Okay.
love that movie.
Nice.
Yeah, that's definitely something I could. Yeah, Wizard of Oz.
Thinking about it right now, because it's been a few days since I've seen it, but if it wasn't Raiders right now, just because it was the more recent thing, I would have chosen Into the Spider-Verse. That's like I can watch that again for the first time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm gonna change mine around. My movie, even though Jurassic Park's my favorite movie, I think it's got to be Scott Pilgrim. I think that would keep me from
Let's go.
like. I think that would keep me going another day over Jurassic Park, and I'm gonna make my comic Sandman.
Nice. Oh,
Ooh, yeah,
I
dope.
do.
That's dope.
Wow.
That's dope. That's
dude,
dope.
I
I had to look
Funny-
around, and I was like, I got all of it
Same.
right there. So.
No, that's sick. That's sick. Oh yeah, let's go.
I got those. I got the 3 volumes.
yeah, man.
Yeah, I'll go on Jorel on talking about DC. Really was a Kingdom
Yeah.
Come for me.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I love Alex Ross. Yeah. I
Yeah.
love his work so much.
I love the variety we chose of all this stuff. I'm like, oh yeah,
I think
that's
we're very like-minded.
yeah.
A coincidence.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure. I think I'm almost tempted to switch my game answer to Battletoads because that shit was so fucking hard, and that we would just geek and we would just play that game so often that whether it's bringing up old memories or it's just so fucking hard, it's like yeah, Battletoads for sure.
It was Crash
Uh,
Bandicoot for me.
I was tempted to say Crash, but I'm like, we're talking
That was
about a
pissed
Naughty
me off,
Dog
man.
game in PlayStation. It's a little meta, but I'm like,
PlayStation,
yeah,
yeah.
Crash Bandicoot.
Uncharted.
I wonder why.
I was entertaining Mortal Kombat 3, but on the Genesis, but
Yeah, I still cannot get over the fact that Nolan North voiced David in that game. Like I still be like, that's Nathan Drake. That's Deadpool. What the? That's I love that about it. Let's wrap this up within the next few minutes, and let's give any final remarks, thoughts on what this franchise, what these characters, what the music means to each of us in a different perspective, because we all come from different backgrounds. We all live in different parts of the world, or not specifically in the states, but this brought us together. This made us connect. More other stuff as well made us connect, but specifically for this day, for this anniversary, um, we all have like-minded thoughts about this game and how much we came to it and how much we're following it now. So let's start off with Busy. Busy, what are your final thoughts on this amazing game and a hell of a show that they gave us?
I don't know. I mean, I'm grateful that I played it, when I had the chance to. And one of the I watch a lot of stuff, and so like a lot of the times when comics or something is being adapted or whatever, I'm I wasn't familiar with it prior, like with Sandman for an example. I wasn't familiar with the comics, I wasn't familiar with anything. And so it's like I'm not really familiar with the source material. But going into this, being able to experience the show after experiencing the game, and it's just I don't know. I felt blessed as a fan because I don't know. They did such a phenomenal job with the show, and of course the game being as iconic as it is. I don't know, man. I
One of
love
those
I loved everything.
That's just to piggyback off of that. It's one of those things, rare things that where you see something you already enjoyed adapted and it wasn't ruined.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
see, and that's the thing. It really sucks to say this, but that's rare. There's a lot of the times where something is being transformed into either live action or from a game to a show, or from a comic to a show, and it doesn't always work. And it's like this was in probably one of my top three anticipated. Like I had Kenobi up there. Something I just wanted to see continued. One Piece live action, which again, anime to live action is rough. So I'm rooting for that. But
yeah,
of course, The Last of Us was just up there, and The Last of Us it really caught me off guard, man. Like I said, the game, my favorite game, and one of probably like the first story mode game that I really played, other than like the Call of Duty campaigns. So again, being able to experience the masterpiece of the show, like how great of a job they did. I mean, again, I'm happy that I'm a fan because they killed it.
yeah. Darrell, what about you?
Final thoughts about the show and the game, right?
Yeah.
Final thoughts. I do struggle with the show because I just love the game so deeply. But I feel like there's no denying that the show, we can walk away feeling good about it. I feel like collectively, the show really did its thing. There were a lot of moments in the show that surprised me. So I feel calm with the show. I don't feel like sort of as raving about it as most people. But the show is extremely solid. I feel like there's no way around that. Anyone who's like trying to say the show is bad is crazy. Final thoughts about the game. It's been 10 years. I don't know. It's amazing that a game that was released in 2013 has affected me so much. Most games don't really affect me like this at all, actually. So it's amazing that the first game is like just lingered all this time. It's so impressive, Most games just don't do that at all. It's just I guess it's just testament to Neil's extremely distinctive vision.
And his sadism.
Right. Like I almost want to ask, like, bro, like, are you all right? Like, were you okay when you were thinking of this story, bud? Like, where the fuck did this come
Like,
from?
oh, this is gonna mess him up.
Has he talked about, like, specifically, like, where? I mean, I know it's
Who hurt you?
right. Well, I mean, I know he distill it down. He has a heavy emphasis on it's all about love, which I mean, it's like kind of way it is. But I'm curious, like where did this draw from? Like when did like whoop, I almost said something about part 2, but like when did like the scene where like Joel says baby girl, like when did you first think about that? Like what inspired this? You know,
listen. I always just hear him saying about, like, you know, how No Country for Old Men and how City of Thieves and how Unforgiven and all this types of movies and books inspire them. How 20 Days Later was a big inspiration, but
really,
I could see it on a visual or template level, but like again, like you said, something as simple as saying "baby girl." How the hell did he come up with that idea to anyways to resonate with all of us is beyond my comprehension. And it's just like it's one of the things that as I come up with stuff that I would love to, you know, if I want to make a comic one day, I'm like, damn it, he stole that idea and I don't want to use it out because that'd be copying too much. But Omni, what about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I just like the themes of like love, that the things that really stick about me is like that human experience, like what happens when like a lot of stuff has tackled some of these similar topics before, but I don't think any of them really get down to it on such a strong, like primal level like this show. Like what lengths and costs are you willing to put up with for love and the good and the bad of it? And when you make those decisions, forcing us to like live with it and think about it, like like Jarrell said, like this game, like when you finish, lingers. There's not very many games that do that. Like even some of my favorite games, even games that I would personally put higher than it, like at the end of it, I might be emotional, I may be worked up or whatever, but like I'm not like, did I just murder a bunch of people in a hospital? Like what happened? Am I me anymore? What is me at the end of these games, man? Like, and it's wild because it, and I think like video games is like such a interesting medium to dabble with because it's one of these situations where there's an added context of putting you physically in control of this and making you pull the trigger, making you do these things and sit there. It's like you won't get to the credits unless you do the thing. It's just putting this way that it makes you culpable for the character's actions in a way, and then not to like go into spoilers or anything like that, obviously, but like there's these ideas of that love continues and shows that, you know, it explores it in a way that makes you sympathize for the ones that maybe you don't like. And I think that's one thing the show did really well. Is like some people that were just blanket enemies in the game were like, well, this is why they're doing these things. This is why they're doing it. And you're like, it's an exercise in sympathy that I don't think a lot of people practice in life, especially today. If you look at any level of social media.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow,
so like,
yeah.
So like, I don't know, like there's somebody on the other side of that. Not like you might be opposed, but you don't know what they're going through and stuff like that. It's a really interesting way to kind of think about it.
All I'm going to say about what Ani just brought up is that we just talked about the first game and the first season of the show. Folks, wait till you play part 2. Wait till we get that story. That is a
glass of whiskey ready.
That is a behemoth.
Yeah, maybe don't even do it. Yeah, maybe just maybe think Maybe think twice about it, okay? Really think this through.
If you're having a bad week, maybe wait.
Yeah, I don't know how us who've played part 2, I don't know how we did it when that game dropped in the year that it dropped, in the atmosphere that it dropped, when what was going on around all of us. I don't know how that came through. I guess that's a testament to how we take stories, but that's all I'm gonna say about that. Just,
and like I didn't even know about like the leaks, like I was
Yeah,
literally, like
I did not even. Yeah,
nothing.
I knew about him, but
Nothing.
I dodged bullets.
videos and just like that was it. Then I was like, okay, let me play this game.
And my fucking like innocent ass, I was like, wow, part 1 was, there's some pretty strikingly dark parts in there. I can't imagine how they could get darker in part 2.
And Neil's like, hold my brains, hold my arm. Jenna, Mike.
Yeah, I guess to a point that was made earlier is like, this entire franchise, it does give you like a reflection of humanity, but also, it's kind of also challenged in terms of the decisions you make, and how that affects you in terms of after you played this game. Because again, there's only very few games that I played in the past that actually had longer effect to me, where I'm thinking about like the Arkham series, right? Stuff like that, or and then now also like looking back in the story at like a different state of my life, that knowing that, okay, now like the things we do for love, right? Shout out to Jamie Lannister, but that was like when you're seeing like also these different types of like characters in their own relationships in different forms, whether it might be a relation between a father and a daughter, a brother and between brothers, or between two gay couples, right? Which again also it challenges you in a way because you think, oh, I don't know how I'm gonna relate to this, but it actually it pulls you in ways that you never thought that could have happened before, right? And then that's why I kind of feel like it also this entire franchise in general, it tests in terms of like your emotions, how you react to certain things, how we as a culture react to things now, and also just it leads us to have this inner dialogue saying where we are, to understand how we treat each other, how we when the chips are down, these some of us, these civilized people, they'll eat each other, right? So it's like you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Pick one.
Well done.
So yeah, I just dropped multiple bars there. You didn't catch it. Some of y'all didn't catch that.
Oh no, I caught them, bro.
I'm talking to the audience. I'm talking to the audience. You just when you watch this the playback, I just dropped some gems for y'all. So yeah, yeah.
See those anywhere else? They got it here.
Yes, right. So
I can imagine like people our age back in the 70s, 60s, 80s, 90s who are quoting, forget it, Jake, it's Chinatown, or he's looking at you, kid. This is, I love the quotes we're bringing up for our generations. Before I give my final thoughts, I just want to let everybody know, whoever's watching this, and to my fellow friends, that Neil Druckmann did post just one thing today, and he said, "Happy 10-year anniversary, The Last of Us. This road has had its ups and downs, but looking back, I can't deny that view. Thanks for all the love you've shown this world and its characters that mean so much to us. More The Last of Us coming your way. Until then, endure and survive." So, I think
no 3, just the multiplayer game.
We're getting that 3, baby. It's coming.
First of all, shout out to our friend Sam who couldn't make it. But factions, when they get done with that, if they ever get done with that, I think they're gonna come our way. And then I concur with Joel. I'm like, you need to do one more and then close the book. You need to do one last ride.
Listen, I just need to know that Redacted is safe. Okay, that's all I need to know. All right. All right, that's all I need to know. That's all I need. Okay, I need to know that Redacted is gonna make it through. Okay, I need to know this.
You've all said beautiful stuff that I could not have said better. I yeah, again, I told this to some of the guys that like, I'm not really big of a zombie guy. I like post-apocalyptic stuff, but zombies, as I get older now, I'm liking stuff more. I appreciate George R. R. Romero, what he did with Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead. But this world, these characters, the design for the infected, the clickers, it is just a whole nother thing that like I'm like, that is so cool, so fucked up, so creepy, and I'm like, cool, man. I
Give it 10 years, that might happen.
God forbid it.
Oh yeah, I
I
just
am
gotta say really
fucking on
quick,
one.
the zombies in The Last of Us, and I'm saying this as someone who prior to 2018, 28 Days Later was my favorite horror film of all time. Fucking love that movie. Shout out to Danny Boyle. But no, the zombies in The Last of Us, in my opinion, are the most ingenious and the best zombies ever created. In my opinion,
I agree.
Like I'll never forget going to the first game. I was like, "Fuck! Someone finally did it! Damn it!" Like this is the most ingenious infection idea I've ever heard of for zombies. It's so brilliant, linking it to the real world with the cordyceps fungi, you know, because that's what makes it scary. That there's this weird real world, like you never know what if question mark angle to it. That's the man. That's
Weird
brilliant.
thing. And I think it'd be even worse too, because like how that's used as a, if that did do what happened in the game, it's a medical supplement too.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can buy cordyceps at Walmart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh hell no!
That, that
What?
cold opening to that
This
first
first
on
I'm
the
hearing
pilot,
this.
I literally, my balls dropped to the floor. I was like, what?
Damn.
What? Huh?
Yeah, wow.
Jonathan from the Mummy is making me
Yeah.
skin crawl.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the clickers are up there with some of the best. Stop it, Mike. That's creeping me out. I think the clickers are one of the best designs ever of any
Visually,
monster. Like,
audibly.
yeah, like the xenomorph, the predator. You know, all that. I think it's up there for me.
For sure.
But yeah, we are lucky that we got these characters and these stories and this music to experience. But it's also at a lot of times it's a heavy thing to go through as a gamer or as a viewer in a show. And I appreciate that we as humans have that opportunity to experience that. That is written by somebody, that it was thought out, and that it was that. And shout out to the crew. I can't emphasize this so much more, that the people who did the sound for the clicker, the actor and the sound designer, the people who mixed the music in both show and game, the people who designed how effed up each city would be in both mediums. And I can say it wholeheartedly that whenever I play the game, whenever I watch an episode of that season, I feel the money, I feel the budget, I feel the year it took them to shoot that show and how many years it took them to make that game. So nothing but love and affection for the people, everybody behind it, not just the cast, not just the directors and writers, but everybody as well involved in it. Muchachos, thank you so much for joining me. Plug yourselves very quick. Let the people know where people can find you. Busy
Braun everywhere.
There you go. Jarrell, what about you?
Yeah, it's on the screen. Drell's Alexandria. That's how you can find my main YouTube channel. I'm always losing my mind on there, so yeah, come join.
There you go. Omni?
Omni Media on everything. The only number in this name is 1. Just remember that. There is a fake one out there too, so
I know.
Let's go.
make sure it's the right one.
Let's go.
Yeah, you find me on Jedi Mike 7 on my YouTube and also on Instagram as well.
Beautiful. You can find me at Ronan Unchained on this channel. There's a lot of stuff coming our way in terms of Marvel, DC stuff, potential vlogs coming in mid-July.
Get your badges. Get you
that
back.
Jedi Mike may or may not be involved in, and yeah, I can't wait till we get more of the seasons of the show. And like Darrell hinted at, I am waiting for part 3 to be announced to like be like that's the end game for The Last of Us. And for in terms for the channel, the next big thing that is near and dear to my heart, like The Last of Us is Ahsoka. Ahsoka's gonna come down in August, and I cannot wait to geek the
Hell
fuck
yeah.
out for that. And I
Is
know
that Star Wars?
that is
Yes.
Star Wars. That is La
Ah.
Guerra de Galaxias.
Ah,
I'm gonna bug a bunch of these fellas to hopefully, Vic, if we can make it, find time to join me in talking about Ahsoka as well.
Oh, yeah.
But
Mhm.
until that time, until next time, to everybody out there, survivors, tourists, to the edge of the universe and back, endure and survive. Thank you for joining us.